Parsha 101, Haftarah 101. This week's Haftorah is for the Parsha of Vayeitzei, and it is from the book of Hosea, the prophet Hosea, who his prophecies were preceded the fall of the northern kingdom and the exile of what became the 10 lost tribes. And this week's Torah portion in general speaks about how Yaakov had to run away from home after he got the blessings instead of Esav, and he ends up at his uncle's home, in Lavan's home, and Lavan does everything he can to cheat and swindle him. First, he says, oh, you can marry Rachel, and then he marries him off to Leah, and then, okay, fine, now you can marry Rachel, and then, oh, how do you want to get paid? These kinds of sheep, this kind of sheep, oh, just kidding, keep switching it up on him. So it uses these examples in the Haftorah because Hosea is rebuking the northern kingdom, and he's saying, you've been like false traders, that you've lied, you've cheated, you swindled, etc. You turn away from God and all these sort of things. Obviously, you can, of course, come back from this. And then eventually it says, remember your ancestor Yaakov, who he overcame angels, and he was holding on to Esav's heel when he was born, and all these things, return to this way. General idea, that's the general idea of all of it. And it does say that even though you've awakened God's wrath and he should destroy you, etc., I will not. How could I bring myself to destroy you? And it actually refers to the northern kingdom here as Ephraim, even though it's not just talking to the one tribe, it's talking to the whole kingdom, because that was the original tribe when the kingdoms broke away. The first king was from the tribe of Ephraim. And just a lot of familiar themes, unfortunately, in these prophecies. Some interesting things. There is a line where it speaks about how Hashem says that I'm the Holy One in your midst, and I will not make my abode, I will not dwell in another city, which, okay, a little bit of an interesting phrase here, but if you look a little bit deeper, there's an idea that there's the Jerusalem, the Yerushalayim of earth, and there's a counterpart, there's a reflective or a connected Yerushalayim of heaven. So God says that when you're in exile, I'm not going to make my home another city, as in I cannot enter the Jerusalem. I will not find peace in the Jerusalem of heaven until there is peace and you have been brought back to the Jerusalem of earth. The general idea of that is that God is in exile with us. So just as the Jewish people, we are now suffering now in exile, God is here with us. And he hasn't just, okay, go on to other things and everything's fine and okay, I'll get back to you. He's with us. Wherever we are, he is with us where we go. There's another thing where it talks about how you behaved like a merchant with false scales in your hand and you love to defraud. But just focusing on the one word of merchant, like a trader, isn't someone who trades. The idea of it also is that sort of the system, just at a first glance, doesn't seem to make sense, because a trader is someone who gives up, who has less in order to gain more. So at first it seems like, hey, why are you giving all your money away? And it's like, no, I'm making an investment. And that's the same idea of, first of all, God in general, through creation, he had to contract himself and contract his life so his light, so that we could have a physical world. So it seems like God is less, but the ultimate, what could comfort, is so much greater and so much more. And that's also the idea of the soul coming down into this world. It has to go through, up there it had love and fear of God and knew God and dwelt in God's presence and essence, etc. And then down here, where did that all go? It seems to have given up so much just to come to this dark world. But what we can achieve in this world is so much greater than what could be achieved up there, where everything is just so obvious. And that's why it's like a trader, because it ultimately, through the exiles and the challenges and through choosing God, we come out ahead. And that's the general idea. That it actually ends off by saying, don't dismiss the prophets, because remember, it was through a prophet that you were brought out of Egypt, that you were redeemed, and through a prophet you were protected. And so please God, we should, like traders, come out ahead in our journeys, and to finally be redeemed and with becoming a Mashiach now.